1 month after the battle, Ambassador Bora stood before the Galactic Council. The great meeting hall was filled with representatives from hundreds of worlds. All of them had seen the recordings from the Silent Dawn. All of them knew that everything had changed. Members of the council, Bora began, her voice calm and strong. Humanity comes before you today not as supplicants, but as equals. The hall was completely quiet. In the front row sat the surviving leaders of the 3 species that had attacked the human ship. They looked very different from how they had looked a month ago. Gone was their arrogance. Gone was their certainty that they were superior to humans. Counselor Pextai of the Hegemony spoke first. His species had ruled this part of the galaxy for 1,000 years, but even he seemed smaller now. Ambassador Bora, he said carefully, the council has reviewed the recordings of the incident. We are prepared to discuss new terms for human membership in galactic society. Bora smiled slightly. New terms? We're not here to ask for membership, Counselor. We're here to announce that humanity will be taking a more active role in galactic affairs. Murmurs spread through the hall. The alien representatives whispered to each other in dozens of different languages. They had expected the humans to ask for protection or mercy. Instead, the humans were making demands. On Earth, Captain Deho was no longer just a captain. He had been promoted to admiral and put in charge of humanity's new deep space defense fleet. He stood in a shipyard that had been secret just months before, watching 12 new ships take shape. Each vessel looked exactly like the Silent Dawn, but they were even more advanced. The quantum cascade weapons had been improved. The stellar engines were more powerful. The disguise systems had been completely removed. How long until the first squadron is ready? Deho asked Chief Engineer Minho, who had also been promoted. 6 weeks, Admiral. All 12 ships will be fully operational with trained crews. Deho nodded. Good, the galaxy is watching us now. We need to be ready for whatever comes next. Back at the Galactic Council, Ambassador Bora was explaining humanity's new position. Behind her, a large screen showed technical details of the Cascade weapon. Not enough information for other species to build their own, but enough to prove that humanity had more surprises waiting. The weapon you witnessed, Bora said, was our first-generation Cascade torpedo. We have since developed more advanced versions. We're sharing this information not as a threat, but as a fact you should understand when making future decisions. In the audience, Admiral Nalthos's replacement shifted uncomfortably. The new Vrex leader, Admiral Kexmar, had been ordered to apologize for the attack on the human ship. The Vrex Empire, he said, standing slowly, acknowledges that we made an error in judgment. We attacked a vessel we thought was helpless. We were wrong about humanity's capabilities. Yes, you were, Bora replied simply. Commander Yithdar, the new leader of the Keth Collective, spoke next. The collective wishes to open diplomatic relations with humanity. We believe our species could benefit from cooperation rather than conflict. Fleet Captain Melros of the Zephyr Union was the last to speak. The Union proposes a formal peace treaty with humanity. We have no desire to test your weapons further. Bora looked at each of them in turn. Humanity is willing to discuss peace with all species, but understand this. We will never again be seen as weak or helpless. Any future attacks on human ships or colonies will be met with the full force of our military. Dr. Yunseo was working in a new laboratory on Earth, much larger than her hiding place on the Silent Dawn. She was developing the 3rd generation of Cascade weapons. These new torpedoes could create much larger energy fields, capable of destroying entire space stations or small moons. Doctor, said her assistant, Dr. Sang-ho, the council is asking for more technical specifications. Give them the basic principles only, Yunseo replied. Let them understand what the weapon does, but not how to build it. Knowledge is power, and we must control how that power is shared. The recordings of the Silent Dawn's battle had spread to every corner of the galaxy. On 1,000 worlds, alien children were learning about the Day of Silent Thunder in their schools. The lesson was always the same. Never underestimate an opponent based on appearances. In the Vrex Empire, military academies now taught courses on human combat doctrine. Students learned how humans use deception and misdirection to defeat larger forces. The Battle of Silent Dawn was studied as a perfect example of tactical brilliance. The Keth Collective had completely changed their approach to human space. Instead of sending war fleets, They now sent trade ships offering technology exchanges. They wanted to be friends with the species that could make entire fleets disappear. The Zephyr Union had gone even further. They offered to share their phase shift technology with humanity in exchange for protection against other aggressive species. The balance of power had shifted so dramatically that former predators were now seeking human protection. Admiral Dayho stood on the bridge of his new flagship, the Thunder's Voice. It was the most advanced ship humanity had ever built. Unlike the Silent Dawn, it made no attempt to hide its power. Anyone could see the massive weapon systems and advanced armor plating. "Admiral," said Captain Hyjin, now his second in command, "the first deep space patrol is ready to launch." "Excellent. Where will they be patrolling?" "The outer rim sectors, places where pirates and raiders used to attack trade ships. And good, let's make sure everyone understands that human ships are off limits." Fleet Commander Haywan was preparing to lead humanity's first open exploration mission beyond the known galaxy. Her ships would carry no disguises and make no attempt to appear weak. They would explore new worlds as representatives of a strong, advanced civilization. "Commander," her navigator said, "we're receiving messages from alien governments asking to join our exploration mission." "How many requests?" 47 different species want to send ships with us." Haywan smiled. "Select the 12 most advanced civilizations. Tell the others they can apply for future missions." Back at the Galactic Council, Ambassador Bo-Ra was finishing her historic speech. "Humanity has no desire to conquer or control other species. We want to explore, to learn, and to build a better galaxy for everyone. But we will defend ourselves and our allies with whatever force is necessary." The Council voted unanimously to grant humanity full membership with all rights and privileges. More importantly, they voted to establish new laws protecting all species from unprovoked attacks. The age of strong species bullying weak ones was ending. As the council session ended, aliens from across the galaxy approached Ambassador Bo-Ra. They wanted treaties, trade agreements, and military alliances. Humanity had become the most sought-after partner in galactic politics. The Silent Dawn had fired one torpedo and changed the destiny of an entire galaxy. Never again would humanity be seen as helpless victims. They had earned their place among the stars through strength, courage, and the wisdom to use power responsibly. The age of humanity had begun. The quantum cascade torpedo reached the center of the alien formation and stopped. For 1 second, everything was quiet. Then the metal sphere began to glow. Admiral Nalthos watched from his command bridge as the strange human weapon floated between his ships. "What is that thing doing?" he demanded. Tactical Officer Veldar worked frantically at his controls. "Admiral, it's not exploding like a normal torpedo. It's doing something else. Something I've never seen before." The torpedo's glow grew brighter. Energy readings from the human weapon climbed higher and higher on alien sensors. But none of the alien species had ever seen technology like this before. "All ships, maximum power to engines," Nalthos screamed. "Get us away from that thing!" The Vrex warships tried to run. Their massive engines roared to life, pushing as much power as possible. But they were too close to each other and too close to the human weapon. There wasn't enough time or space to escape. On the Silent Dawn, sensor operator Ji-Hoon watched his screens carefully. "Torpedo has reached critical mass, Captain. Cascade field will activate in 5 seconds. Captain Dayho nodded grimly. He felt no joy in what was about to happen, but it was necessary. The galaxy had to learn that humanity would defend itself. 4 seconds, Ji-Hoon counted down. Commander Kethamar saw the torpedo's glow reaching his ships. His insect mind processed the energy readings and realized something terrible was about to happen. But his vessels were trapped between the Vrex and Zephyr ships. There was nowhere to go. 3 seconds. Fleet Captain Zornell tried to use his ship's special abilities to phase out of normal space, but the cascade field was already interfering with his quantum systems. His silver vessels flickered but couldn't disappear. 2 seconds. Admiral Nalthos made one last desperate attempt to contact the human ship. "Wait," he screamed into his radio. "We can negotiate. We don't have to fight." 1 second. The torpedo exploded, but not like any explosion the aliens had ever seen. Instead of fire and force, it released a sphere of pure energy that spread out in all directions. The cascade field moved at the speed of light, reaching every alien ship in less than a second. When the energy wave touched the first Vrex warship, something incredible happened. The ship didn't burn or break apart. Instead, its metal hull began to glow and then simply dissolved. Every atom in the vessel was being converted directly into energy. "What's happening to us?" screamed one Vrex officer before his ship vanished completely. The cascade field spread through the entire alien formation. Ship after ship was caught in the expanding wave of energy. Metal turned to light. Weapons became pure power. Entire vessels just disappeared as their matter was converted to energy. Admiral Nalthos had just enough time to realize what was happening before his own command ship was touched by the cascade. "Impossible," he whispered. "How can the humans have such power?" Then the Dominator was gone, converted to energy like all the others. Commander Kethmar's insect ship tried to resist the cascade field with its bioarmor. For a moment, the living hull fought against the energy conversion, but the quantum forces were too strong. The ship's organic systems failed, and it too became part of the growing ball of light. Fleet Captain Zornel's vessels lasted longest because of their advanced technology. The Zephyr Union ships flickered in and out of normal space trying to escape, but the cascade field existed in all dimensions at once. One by one, the silver ships were caught and converted to pure energy. In less than 10 seconds, 37 alien warships had simply stopped existing. The cascade field had turned them all into a brief artificial star that burned brighter than any sun. On the silent dawn, the human crew watched in silence as the enormous ball of energy slowly faded. Where moments before there had been a massive alien fleet, now there was only empty space filled with gentle light. "All enemy vessels destroyed," reported Ji-hoon quietly. "No survivors detected." Captain Daeho sat back in his command chair. The demonstration was complete. 3 different alien species had just learned what happened when you threatened humanity. "Any escape pods?" he asked. "None, sir. The cascade field converted everything to energy. There was nothing left to escape in." Dr. Yunseo's voice came over the radio from her laboratory. "Captain, the weapon performed exactly as designed. Total matter conversion with no residual radiation. Clean and complete. Thank you, Doctor. Stand down from combat alert." Communications Officer Nari was monitoring all frequencies throughout the sector. "Captain, I'm picking up signals from other alien ships further out. They saw what happened here." "Good," Daeho said. "Make sure they get a clear recording of everything. I want the whole galaxy to see what just occurred." Pilot Jinwoo checked his navigation systems. "Sir, should we head home now?" "Not yet. We wait here for 1 hour. Let everyone get a good look at what's left." The silent dawn hung in space where the battle had taken place. Around it, particles of energy slowly drifted away like glowing snow. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Weapons Officer Dong Min secured his systems. "Captain, the Cascade weapon performed better than our best predictions. We could have destroyed twice as many ships if needed." "Let's hope we never need to find out," Daeho replied. Throughout the galaxy, the news was already spreading. Ships that had been watching from far away were sending urgent messages to their home worlds. The humans had technology that could make entire fleets disappear. The balance of power had changed completely. Engineering Chief Young Sik began shutting down the stellar engine. "Returning to normal power levels, Captain. Should I reactivate the disguise systems?" "No," Daeho said firmly. "From now on, we show our true colors. No more hiding what we can do." The Silent Dawn's real appearance stayed visible for all to see. Its advanced armor gleamed in the light from distant stars. Its weapon systems remained deployed and ready. Anyone looking at the ship could now see that humanity was far from helpless. "Message coming in from Earth Command," reported Nari. Admiral Chen appeared on the main screen, her face showing both pride and concern. "Captain Daeho, well done. The demonstration was successful. How do you and your crew feel?" "Ready to serve, Admiral. Ready to defend humanity." "Good. Because after today, everything changes. The galaxy now knows we're not victims anymore." The transmission ended. Captain Daeho looked around his bridge at his crew. They had just made history, but none of them looked happy about it. They had done what was necessary, but that didn't make it easy. The Silent Dawn began its journey home, leaving behind empty space where 37 alien warships had once threatened humanity. The message was clear: underestimate humans at your own risk. Admiral Nalthos stood on the bridge of his command ship, feeling very pleased with himself. 37 warships surrounded the helpless human vessel. This would be the easiest victory in Vrex history. "All ships move to boarding positions," he commanded. I want every vessel within 500 meters of the human ship. Tactical Officer Veldar looked at his screens. Admiral, that's very close. If something goes wrong, what could go wrong? Nalthos laughed. Look at their readings. Their weapons are offline. Their shields are down. They can barely keep their lights on. The alien fleet moved like a closing fist around the silent dawn. Freck ships took positions above and below. Keth vessels spread out to the left and right. Zephyr Union ships filled the gaps between them. Soon the human ship was trapped in a perfect sphere of enemy vessels. On the bridge of the silent dawn, Captain Deho watched the aliens position themselves exactly where he wanted them. It was almost too perfect. Distance to nearest enemy ship? He asked. 450 meters, replied sensor operator Jihoon. They're all within the target zone now. Excellent. Deho turned to communications officer Nari. Any word from Earth Command? Nari checked her hidden receivers. Deep inside the ship, powerful communication equipment was receiving messages through quantum channels the aliens couldn't detect. Message coming through now, sir, she said. It's Admiral Chen. The face of Earth's fleet admiral appeared on a small screen that only the bridge crew could see. Her expression was serious but determined. Captain Deho, she said, you are authorized to proceed with Operation Thunder. Show them what humanity can do. Understood, Admiral. Thunder is a go. The transmission ended. Deho looked around his bridge at his crew. They had all volunteered for this mission, knowing they might not survive. But they also knew they were making history. All stations prepare for combat reveal, he ordered. In the alien fleet, the commanders were making their final preparations. Admiral Nalthos opened boarding pods on 6 of his ships. Commander Kethmar readied his drone warriors. Fleet Captain Zornell activated his ship's capture beams. In 10 minutes we board, Nalthos announced to all ships. Remember, we want the human ship intact. Use minimum force only. That was their biggest mistake. By trying to capture the Silent Dawn instead of destroying it, they had moved all their ships into the perfect kill zone. Dr. Yunseo made her final checks on the Quantum Cascade torpedo. The weapon was unlike anything ever built before. Instead of exploding like normal weapons, it would create an expanding field of energy that converted matter directly into power. All systems green, she reported to the bridge. Cascade weapon is ready to fire. Thank you, Doctor, Deho replied. Stand by. Weapons Officer Dongmin's hands moved over his controls. Hidden deep in the ship, the torpedo was loading into a launcher that the aliens couldn't see. The weapon itself looked like a metal sphere covered in strange symbols. Torpedo loaded and ready, Captain, he said. Target solution? Perfect, sir. All enemy ships are within the Cascade field radius. Engineering Chief Youngsik watched his power readings. The fake fusion reactors were still putting out weak signals that fooled the alien scanners. But deep inside the ship, the real power source was awakening. Captain, the stellar engine is coming online, he reported. We'll have full power in 30 seconds. A stellar engine was something the aliens thought was impossible. It was a miniature star contained inside a magnetic field, producing more power than 100 normal reactors. Only humanity had figured out how to build one small enough to fit in a ship. All ships begin boarding in 5 minutes, Admiral Nalthos commanded. Some of the alien vessels were opening their airlocks. Boarding parties were gathering near launch tubes. Everyone was excited about capturing human technology. Captain, said pilot Jinwoo, should I start evasive maneuvers? Not yet, Deho replied. Let them get as close as possible. The alien ships moved even closer. Some were now only 300 meters away from the Silent Dawn. Their crews were laughing and joking about how easy this capture would be. 2 minutes until boarding, Nalthos announced on the Silent Dawn. Captain Deho stood up from his command chair. This was the moment that would change everything. All hands prepare for combat, he said over the ship's internal radio. Secure for extreme maneuvers. Throughout the ship, the crew strapped themselves into safety harnesses. What was about to happen would be violent and sudden. Stellar engine at full power, reported Youngsik. Cascade. Weapon ready to fire, said Dongmin. All enemy ships locked in. Position, confirmed Jihoon. Deho took a deep breath. In the next few seconds, 37 alien warships would learn that humanity was not helpless at all. Begin the reveal, he ordered. Throughout the Silent Dawn, hidden systems came alive. Holographic projectors shut down, showing the ship's true appearance. Armor plating extended from concealed compartments. Weapon ports opened like mechanical flowers blooming. The aliens saw their scanners go crazy as the readings from the human ship completely changed. What had looked like a dying cargo vessel suddenly showed power levels that matched their entire combined fleet. "What's happening?" shouted Admiral Nalthos. "How are their power levels so high?" "Admiral," Veldar said in panic, "their ship is completely different from what we scanned before. It's incredibly advanced." On other ships, similar scenes of confusion were playing out. Alien commanders were screaming orders as their sensors showed impossible readings from the human vessel. "All ships, retreat immediately," Nalthos commanded, but it was too late. The alien ships were too close together and too close to the Silent Dawn. Their engines couldn't generate enough power to escape quickly. "Fire the Cascade torpedo," Captain Deho ordered. Weapons Officer Dongmin pressed the firing button. Deep in the Silent Dawn, magnetic fields released their grip on the quantum torpedo. The sphere of metal and energy shot out of the ship toward the center of the alien formation. "Torpedo away," Dongmin reported. "Impact in 10 seconds. The alien ships tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. They were trapped by their own greed and overconfidence." 5 seconds to impact, Dongmin counted down. Admiral Nalthos watched the strange torpedo approach his ship and realized that humanity had just taught him a terrible lesson about underestimating an enemy. The bridge of the Vrex command ship Dominator buzzed with excitement. Admiral Nalthos walked between his officers, watching them study the readings from the human vessel. Every scan showed the same thing: a weak, dying ship that posed no threat to anyone. "Admiral," said Tactical Officer Veldar, his 4 arms working at multiple controls at once, "the human ship's power output is dropping even more. Their engines might shut down completely soon." Nalthos smiled with all his sharp teeth showing. "Good, that will make boarding easier." He turned to his communications officer. "Send word to all Vrex ships in this sector. Tell them we have found a human vessel to study." Within an hour, 6 more Vrex warships had arrived. The Silent Dawn now sat in the middle of 18 alien vessels, all pointed at the small human ship like weapons waiting to fire. But Admiral Nalthos wanted more than just Vrex ships to witness this moment. He opened a channel to the nearby Keth collective fleet. "Commander Kethmar," he said to the insect-like alien who appeared on his screen, "we have captured a human warship. Would you like to see how weak their military really is?" Kethmar's compound eyes glittered with interest. "A human warship? This should be amusing. I will bring 3 ships to observe." The Keth vessels arrived 2 hours later. They looked like giant metal beetles flying through space. Each one carried thousands of warrior drones inside, ready for battle. But today they came just to watch and laugh. Commander Subin sat at her station on the Silent Dawn, calmly counting the growing number of enemy ships. 21 vessels now, Captain," she reported to Deho. "And I'm detecting more ships coming from the Zephyr Union." "How many more?" asked Deho. "Looks like a full battle group." 16 ships, Deho nodded. This was working better than they had hoped. The more aliens who witnessed what was about to happen, the stronger the message would be. On his command ship, Admiral Nalthos was practically dancing with joy. The Zephyr Union ships were arriving now, sleek silver vessels that moved like liquid metal through space. Their commander, Fleet Captain Zornel, appeared on the main screen. "Nalthos," Zornel said in his musical voice, "I hear you have found something interesting." "More than interesting," Nalthos replied. "We have a chance to show the entire galaxy how weak humanity really is. Their so-called warship is barely holding together. Then by all means," Zornel said, "let us all witness humanity's failure together." By the end of the day, 37 alien warships surrounded the Silent Dawn. Ships from 3 different species, all eager to see human technology torn apart and studied. The small human vessel looked like a mouse surrounded by hungry cats. Dr. Yunseo worked quietly in her hidden laboratory deep inside the Silent Dawn. The quantum cascade torpedo was ready, but she made one final check of all systems. This weapon had never been tested in real combat before. Today would prove whether humanity's greatest scientific achievement actually worked. "All quantum matrices stable," she said into her radio. "Energy containment fields at maximum strength." "We're ready, Captain." "Thank you, Doctor," came Deho's voice. "Stand by for my signal." Communications Officer Nari listened to the alien chatter on all frequencies. The 3 species were talking to each other, making plans for dividing up whatever they found on the human ship. "They're arguing about who gets to study our engines first," she told the bridge crew. The Vrex want our navigation computer. The Keth want our weapon systems. The Zephyr want to dissect our crew. Let them argue, said Deho. Soon they won't want any of those things. Admiral Nalthos called another meeting of the three fleets. The commanders appeared on screens throughout all the ships so everyone could hear the plan. Fellow warriors, Nalthos began. Today we make history. We will show the galaxy that humans are not worthy of respect or fear. Their ship is defenseless. We will disable it carefully, then take it apart piece by piece. Commander Kethmar clicked his mandibles in agreement. My science drones are ready to study every system on their vessel. We will learn all their secrets. Fleet Captain Zornel's image shimmered as he spoke. And when we are done, we will broadcast our findings to every world in the galaxy. No one will ever fear humanity again. The three commanders agreed on their plan. They would move all their ships to within 500 meters of the Silent Dawn. From that close range, they could use precision weapons to disable the human ship without destroying it completely. Then boarding parties would swarm over it like ants on food. This is perfect, Nalthos declared. The human ship cannot escape. It cannot fight back. It can only wait to be captured. On the Silent Dawn, pilot Jin Wu watched the alien ships move closer. His hand stayed steady on the controls even though his heart was beating fast. Soon he would need to move faster than any pilot had ever moved before. They're taking the bait perfectly, he said to the bridge crew. All ships moving to close range, just like we wanted. Engineer Minho checked his instruments one more time. The real engines were still hidden, their power signatures completely masked, but they were ready to activate in seconds when needed. The aliens would get quite a surprise when they saw what the Silent Dawn could really do. Captain, said Weapons Officer Dongmin, all enemy vessels are now within optimal range for the Cascade weapon. Deho looked around his bridge. His crew was ready. They had trained for this moment for 2 years, practicing in secret while the galaxy believed humanity was weak and peaceful. Remember, he told them, we're not just fighting for our ship today. We're fighting for humanity's future. After today, no alien species will ever again think humans are easy targets. The alien fleets continued moving closer, their commanders chatting happily about how they would divide up the human technology. They thought they were about to win the greatest prize in the galaxy. They had no idea they were flying straight into the most dangerous trap humanity had ever set. Admiral Nalthos gave his final order. All ships prepare for boarding operations. In 1 hour we take the human vessel. Captain Deho smiled grimly. In 1 hour the galaxy would learn a very different lesson about humanity. Captain Deho stood on the bridge of the Silent Dawn, watching the stars through the main screen. His ship looked old and broken from the outside. The metal hull had fake rust marks painted on it. The weapon ports were covered to look like cargo doors. Everything about his ship screamed weakness. That was exactly what he wanted. Captain, said Lieutenant Haijin from her station, I'm getting signals from 3 ships approaching fast. They're big ones. Deho nodded slowly. How long until they reach us? 20 minutes, sir. Good, tell the crew to get ready. Remember, we look scared and helpless. The Silent Dawn drifted through space like a broken toy. Its engines made weak sputtering sounds that anyone could hear on radio. The ship's lights flickered on and off randomly. To any watching alien, it looked like a human vessel that was about to fall apart. In the engine room, Engineer Minho smiled as he watched his instruments. The real engines were hidden deep inside the ship. They were so powerful they could move a moon if needed. But right now they were almost completely shut down. Only the fake systems were running, making all the right sounds of a dying ship. Minho to bridge, he said into his radio. All fake systems are working perfectly. We sound like we're about to explode. Perfect, Deho replied. Keep it up. The 3 alien ships grew larger on the screen. They were massive warships, each one 10 times bigger than the Silent Dawn. Their hulls were covered with weapon systems that could destroy a city. These were Vrex Empire ships, and they were known for being cruel to weaker species. Captain, Hyujin said quietly, they're scanning us now. Let them look, Deho said. They'll see exactly what we want them to see. The alien scanners hit the Silent Dawn like invisible hands feeling every inch of the ship. But they only found what the humans wanted them to find. Old fusion reactors that barely worked. Weak hull plating that looked ready to crack. Simple radio systems that seemed 50 years out of date. Deep inside the ship, the real systems were completely hidden. Holographic projectors made them invisible to scans. Special metal blocked all energy readings. The aliens saw a helpless cargo ship, not the most advanced warship humanity had ever built. 3 more ships coming in, reported He-Jin. Then 4 more after that, Daeho counted in his head. Soon there would be 10 alien warships surrounding his single small vessel. The odds looked terrible for humanity. That was the point, sir, said Communications Officer Nari. The lead ship is calling us. Put them on screen, but make our signal look weak and broken. The main screen flickered and showed the bridge of the Vrex command ship. Admiral Nalthos appeared, his 6 eyes looking down at the humans with disgust. His skin was purple and covered with sharp spines. When he smiled, his teeth looked like knives. Human vessel, Nalthos said in broken English. You are in Vrex space without permission. Your ship looks ready to break apart. How pathetic, Daeho put on his best scared face. Please, Admiral, we're just a cargo ship. Our engines are failing. We got lost and ended up here by accident. Nalthos laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Lost? How typical of humans. Your species can barely find your own planet, let alone navigate space properly. Behind the Admiral, other Vrex officers were pointing at their screens and laughing. They were studying the Silent Dawn's fake readings and finding them hilarious. Look at their weapons, said one officer. They have 2 small laser cannons that probably couldn't cut through paper. And their shields, said another. I've seen children's toys with better protection. Nalthos leaned closer to the camera. Human captain, we will board your ship and take everything useful. Your cargo, your technology, maybe even your crew for our experiments. Please, Daeho begged, making his voice shake. We don't have anything valuable. Just some food and basic supplies. We'll decide what's valuable, Nalthos said. Prepare to be boarded. The transmission ended. On the bridge of the Silent Dawn, the human crew looked at each other. Then they all started smiling. How many ships now? Asked Daeho. 12, replied He-Jin. And they're calling more friends. I'm picking up signals from Keth Collective ships and Zephyr Union vessels heading this way. Excellent. The more the better. Tactical Officer Subin looked up from her station. Captain, they're moving into a tight formation around us. All ships within 2 kilometers. Perfect, Daeho said. They're making this easier than we hoped. In the hidden depths of the ship, Dr. Yunseo was making final checks on humanity's greatest secret. The quantum cascade torpedo was ready. It was a weapon that could turn matter into pure energy. The aliens had no idea such a thing was even possible. Dr. Yunseo to bridge, came her voice over the radio. All systems are ready. We can fire at your command. Understood, Doctor. Stand by. More alien ships kept arriving. The Silent Dawn was now surrounded by vessels from 3 different species, all eager to see what humans had brought to their corner of space. They thought they were looking at prey. They were wrong. Pilot Jin Woo sat at his controls, hands steady on the controls that would unleash humanity's first real demonstration of power. The ship continued to drift helplessly, its fake distress signals getting weaker and weaker. Captain, said Weapons Officer Dongman, all alien ships are now within optimal range. Daeho looked around his bridge. His crew was ready. Humanity was ready. The aliens thought they were about to capture a helpless human ship and learn all of humanity's secrets. Instead, they were about to learn why it was a very bad idea to threaten humanity. All stations, prepare for combat, Daeho said quietly. It's time to show the galaxy what humans can really do. The Silent Dawn continued to look helpless and broken. But deep inside, power was building. Soon the aliens would understand that appearances could be very deceiving indeed.